Okay, now many of you may have heard of the French Revolution. Well, this has to do with this man, Adam Weishaupt, and he was a Jesuit. And so after the Jesuits were kicked out of all these countries, he wanted to find a way for them to get back into power. Yeah, because of all these rulers that kicked them out, he wanted to find a way for them to get deeper in and into these high level positions in the power structure, like these rulers. And basically, he wanted them to do like the Templars did and start infiltrating. So what he did was he got the idea to start a revolution that would take down these governments and these high level rulers in the power structure. So, okay, now that the Templars, they're running Freemasonry at this point. Okay, Freemason by the name of Count Cagliostro, he placed himself as a behind the scenes leader of this revolution. And so what he started was a takedown of all the governments and rulers in Europe. And so, yeah, he wanted to take down all these governments and monarchies and religions. And he did this by inciting radical ideas. Yeah, starting a very radical revolt. And so he basically did what happened in those ancient early civilizations that I talked about. He started appealing to people's base, low frequency instincts, that core part of the brain. Yeah, he started appealing to people's fears and their wants for selfish needs and selfish just survival needs. Yeah, so he started all these ideas about the rulers and started all this fear mongering, and he started a lot of hate and all these very low level base ways of thinking. So what he did was he wanted to complete the Templars' work, and so what he also wanted to do was to so people would keep from learning true spirituality. He started bringing in like anti-spiritual ideas. Like him and Anna Weishaupt were atheists, and so this takedown of these countries all over Europe started with very violent and radical ideas, and started with a group called the Jacobins. And so they started terrorism and violence and death by guillotine. Now, okay, the guillotine, now that was created by a Freemason. His name was Joseph Guillotine. And so the king of France at the time, it was Louis the 16th, he was executed by guillotine in the French Revolution. And as you may know, Marie Antoinette, she was, of course, executed by guillotine. And it was because either they themselves or their relatives, they were the ones that expelled the Jesuits from those countries. Yeah, when the Jesuits were getting kicked out, they kicked them out of France. So this is basically how they got their revenge. So basically the revolution worked. In these revolutions, governments and leaders got taken down, they got taken out, or just executed. And so the Jesuits placed themselves, after the leaders got taken out, the Jesuits started infiltrating. They placed themselves in these high-level positions. They replaced these leaders and these rulers and started creating their own governments and their own religions. And so at this point, like the Templars did, where the way they infiltrated the Mason guilds, okay, the Jesuits had to learn another new tactic, another new method of taking over. And that was, they had to learn how to go dark, or go incognito. Okay. Yeah, see, this has to do with the Templars and the Jesuits, they learned how to always use what's called using patsies. And what they do is they get other people to do their work for them, and they work through them, and they basically trick them into doing their horrible acts. Yeah, a lot of times it's people that think they're doing good. They're trying to do something to help someone else, or they think they're doing something that's for the better good, but it's really a trick. It's sort of a bait and switch. And so this using patsies, this has to do with what a lot of people think of the power structure now. A lot of people they say the power structure is run by the Jews. They think the Jews are running everything. Yeah, people say, it's the Rothschilds, it's the Warburgs. Okay, don't fall for this centuries-old tactics. The Jesuit, you have to be careful of who you're looking at, because the Jesuits always learn to work through other groups. They place people into doing their works, and then so they kind of trick them. Yeah, a lot of times they trick people into think they're doing good. They're trying to defeat like a bad guy, but it ends up being just a lower level bad guy or a fake bad guy. And so to defeat them, when they think they're doing good, they end up making a deal with a higher enemy, like the ultimate high level in the power structure. So basically that works. They still do that to this day. So like the Jesuits, they get these other groups, these lower level groups, to do their work for them. And so the way this works is, if they ever get caught, if people ever find out what's happening, the Jesuits can get off free. They can say, oh, it wasn't us, it was the Jews. It was those Jews over there. It's not us running the banks. It's Goldman Sachs and Lehman Brothers. It's got their name on it. So this is the tactic still used today. And so that's what the Templars did. The Templars used the Masons, and the Jesuits have always used the Jews. Yeah, they use these Jewish families. And a lot of times they think they're doing good, but they get tricked into working for these higher levels. Sometimes they don't even know they're working for higher levels in the power structure. So, okay, now, after this, so the French Revolution and the Illuminati started in 1776. Now, by 1814, the Pope at the time, it was Pope Pius. Now, he just completely restored the Jesuit order fully. And actually, they were more powerful than ever. Yeah, so to this day, the Jesuits, they run all the top organizations in the power structure. Yeah, they run all of the biggest organizations. They run the UN, they run NATO, European Commissions, CFR, and they run all the biggest central banks. So to this day, the Jesuits, they're at pretty much the top of the power structure. So they're at the top level in the Roman Church. So so that's basically how we get to where we are today. That's how we get this fake reality, this spinning globe Earth model that came from the Jesuits, and then all this, a lot of the power structure, all these organizations, they're all run by the Jesuits. So it all comes back to the Roman Empire or the Roman Church. And so, as I talked about in my previous videos, they want this false reality. So, and I talked about in my Flat Earth video, there's this treaty in place in Antarctica, and that's clearly because they don't want people to find out what's at the end. Because if you go to Antarctica, you're probably going to end up running into, because I talked about the James Van Allen belt was found. So at the edge of this flat Earth disk, if you go to the edge, you'll probably find the Van Allen belt or the firmament. And so you'll realize the whole space program is fake. Yeah, we can't go to space because there's a dome over the Earth. So they put this treaty in place so you can't go to Antarctica. Now, that's one of the treaties. Now, there's actually another treaty in place. Okay, so you can't go to Antarctica. And also, surrounding the center of the Earth, I talked about there's a hole at the center of the Earth. Well, there's actually a treaty in place. These countries surrounding this hole at the center of the Earth is very similar to the one in Antarctica. Okay, there's governments, there are militaries, and they have troops stationed to keep people from going to this part of the Earth. Okay, now, as I've been describing, at the center of the Earth, and all these ancient cultures, they knew about this. These ancient cultures talked about this light, this creative force. Yeah, they talked about a magic mountain and this tree of life at the center of the Earth. Okay, this has been talked about in many cultures throughout history. And the way they described it, okay, some of the ways they described it is the fountain of youth, the Garden of Eden, and the soul of the world. Like I said, the Romans, they called it the Rea Cabelli. And the way they described it is a vibrating substance which forms all creation. And the Ankh, they called it the breath of life, or the key of life. And they called it a spring flowing with the elixir of immortality. Okay, everyone, this is where we need to go. We need to be able to get to the center of the earth, because every ancient culture has been talking about this for centuries. It's this incredible force, this creative force, and this force of immortality and life. And so it's all coming from the black sun, and this energy that's coming out through the hole at the center of the earth, this astral light, and so this green light coming from the center of the earth. And if you want to see it yourself, here it is. It's what we know as the aurora borealis. Okay. Yeah, there are many pictures of this. And if you live in certain places like Alaska and certain parts of Canada, you can see this. Yeah, people see this. And this has been talked about in history. Okay, there's a native tribe. They're called the Lakota Native Indian tribe. And what they claim is, so they're from these countries, so like North America, around Canada. And so what they did was they claimed that this aurora had healing properties. And what they would do is they would take those in the tribe with any health issues, anyone that was sick, and they would have them stand with their hands stretched out. They have them stand towards that light with their hands stretched out, and they would tell them to inhale deep, and like magic, all of their health problems got better. So all of these ancient cultures knew about this incredible energy coming from the center of the earth. So now there's a lot of movements happening where we're all talking about going to the center of the earth. That's where you get this elixir of life, this breath of life that forms all creation. So this is where we need to get to. All these symbols are pointing it out. Ancient cultures have been pointing it out for centuries. And it's been called this incredible force that forms all creation. And this incredible healing force that's coming from the center of the earth. It comes from the black sun, which creates life in the universe. Okay, I'm going to be making more videos about this. And you can watch a lot of other videos. A lot of people are starting to talk about this. But I suggest you start looking this up and start getting into a lot of these groups that are going to start this movement towards the center of the earth, towards this astral light, this vril coming from the black sun. So, all right, stay tuned to my channel. I'm going to keep talking about this and make some more videos, and I'll see you guys later.